You got a Bruno in your head.
A Bruno.
Say, Silenzio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno.
Louder. Silenzio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno.
Silenzio Bruno.
Can you still hear him?
Nope, just you.
Good. Now hang on.
Silenzio Bruno.
What's wrong with you, stupido?
You do it now. Just say the thing.
What's wrong with you, stupido?
Welcome one and all to an all-new video. In this video we're going to be talking about a new awesome movie that just got released on Disney Plus this past week and is a great new addition to the amazing Pixar universe. So we're going to get right into that. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this video or any of the other videos I put up. And as always people, if you enjoy my content on YouTube, definitely check out my other social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, where I also post on pretty much on a daily basis of other cool stuff and just cool movie-related things. So yeah, definitely check those out too. And as always, people, let's get right into this. So welcome one and all to an all-new video. So like I was saying before, we're going to be doing a movie review of a new Pixar film that just got released this past week on Disney Plus and into select theaters. And that film, of course, is called Luca. Oh yeah, Luca. Ooh, Luca. So this is another original story from the Pixar universe. Similar to Soul, similar to Onward. It's a whole new story. It's not a sequel and it's not part of another universe. It's its own thing. And this movie was a spectacular fun ride. I got to watch it. And this movie was just such a great new addition to the amazing Pixar, already great universe that they've created. Now, this film is actually about sea monsters. Now, when I first saw the trailer and so forth, I actually thought it was about mermaids. But actually, it's about sea monsters, which I think that's a cool, amazing concept. It's different than mermaids, and I just really like the idea that they went with something different and gave us these new type of creatures to go with that are just really fun, visually beautiful and appealing, and just really awesome. So this film happens to be directed by a first-time director in his feature film debut, known as Enrico Casarosa. Oh yeah, Enrico. So Enrico is actually an Italian director who actually has been with Pixar since 2002 as a storyboard artist, and this is actually his feature film debut as a director. But you might know him as the director of the little mini short called La Luna. That's right, La Luna. He actually directed that too as well for Pixar. And I think it's probably one of the catalysts that got him this big role of being a director of this big film. Now, Enrico, like I said, he's been a storyboard artist for Pixar for many years. He really hasn't directed much, but he has done a lot of storyboard work for such films over the years, you know, since, like I said, since 2002, he's been a part of The Incredibles, he's been a part of Coco, he's been a part of many of the different Pixar animated films over the years. This is actually the only film he's actually fully directed besides La La Luna. Now, I thought that Enrico did an amazing job with this film. I love the style he decided to go with. I love that he kept it in the 50s, 50s, 60s era. I love that fact that they kept it, or, you know, around the time that big creature features were very popular, and he really knew what to do with that. And especially because he grew up in Italy in the 1980s, he was saying that he wanted to keep that same kind of vibe going that he felt during the 80s when he was growing up there. And just everything about the film, he directed it so beautifully. He gives this great story, he gives really great visuals, and he had a great dialogue and writing throughout the film with a really great screenplay. I thought he did a really amazing job. If you haven't seen anything of Enrico's, definitely check out La La Luna. It's actually a really good little short. And, you know, we've already seen all his other works of being a storyboard artist for such big films as Coco and so forth. So, yeah, definitely check out La La Luna. It's worth the watch. So this movie has a really great cast, and I really enjoyed majority of the people that gave their voice in this film. John Ratzenberg, of course, we know as, you know, from Cheers. He actually did a voiceover in this film, but was not credited for it. But he is one of the biggest main star Pixar mainstays, and he's usually does at least one voice in every single Pixar film. So it was great to have him in the film and do his voiceover. But like I was saying, this film just has a really great cast, some great upcoming actors, and some great veterans that are just great comedians and are always fun to listen to and watch. Now, to start us off is Luca himself, Mr. Jacob Tremblay. Oh Tremblay! Woo! So Jacob Tremblay, you might recognize, of course, from the film The Room with Brie Larson, where he actually was nominated for a, Oscar for his performance as the son of Brie Larson's character in the film, which she ended up actually winning the Oscar. But he, that movie really showed his acting chops, and he was just so amazing in that film. And I think as he's gone along, he gets better and better, and it's just fun to watch him. Now, a couple films I really enjoyed him in are as followed. The first one happens to be a coming-of-age film, very similar to Superbad, but with younger kids, basically, but same premise as Superbad. And that, of course, is a film called Good Boys. Oh, yeah. Good Boys. Yeah. So when I actually saw this movie first in theaters, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but as I've gone on and I've watched it again, it's not too bad of a film. It's not super horrible. It's somewhat enjoyable in certain scenes and so forth that, I still like Jacob Tremblay in the film. I enjoyed his character in the film. I loved him kind of being the leader of the pack, and I enjoyed his, take on being this adolescent, teenager trying to deal with, learning about sex and learning about love and learning about being a teenager and so forth and going into the next grade. And I just thought that he did a really good job of playing, what an angsty teen would be like. So I thought that he did a good job, and I really enjoyed him in that film. Now, the second film he was in that I really enjoyed him in was a great sequel film of a great, franchise that was started with Arnold Schwarzenegger called The Predator. Oh, yeah, The Predator. I don't think he gets enough talk about being in this film because you don't really hear much people talking about this film, unfortunately, because a lot of people didn't care too much for it. They thought it was a pretty bad film, like it wasn't a great Predator. And then there was others that really enjoyed it, which I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I thought it was a great sequel. I thought Shane Black did an amazing job. And I really enjoyed Jacob Tremblay's character in the film. I like that, they had this kid that was involved with this alien battle and him having to deal with this. And I liked that the characterization he brought to the character. I like that he did a good job of being very realistic of a person that has his disability in the film and dealing with, an extraterrestrial battle going on in your world. And I just thought that he was really fun in it. I just really enjoyed him in it, and I wish more people would talk about his performance in the film because I thought he did a really good job. If you haven't seen The Predator or The Good Boys, definitely check them out, people. They're worth the watch. But when it comes to him playing Luca, I absolutely fell in love with him. His voice was just perfect for the character of Luca. The look of the character and the sea monster version and the human version, it was spot on with his voice. And you just felt like he was Luca, and you felt that he, was this angsty sea monster that's, a teenager trying to, learn about the human world because you're always stuck down in the sea world. And I thought that he did a good job and worked really well with everyone and gave us a really great performance that visually was so appealing and so emotional and just really well done on the screen. Really enjoyed it, and I thought that Jacob did a good job. Really shows his roots from his Room role and shows that he really does have some pretty decent acting chops. So that brings me to the second actor that lent their voice to this film, and that is none other than the amazing and awesome Jack Dylan Grazer. Oh yeah, Jack Dylan Grazer. Oh yeah. Here's an interesting fact for you. Did you know that his uncle is Brian Grazer? That's right, Brian Grazer, the co-producer and producer of pretty much every Ron Howard film that Ron Howard collaborates with. That's actually his uncle. I thought that was a really cool factoid. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's awesome. But anyways, Jacob Dylan Grazer, he is amazing. I think this kid has so much talent, and he just proves it in every single film he is in. And I can't wait to see him do more and more because this kid is freaking hilarious. He really knows his acting chops. He really knows his comedy. He is just hands down one of my favorite young actors around. Now, a couple films I really enjoyed him in are as followed. Now, the first one happens to be a great DCU film that came out in 2019 that has a sequel coming out next year. And that, of course, is a film called Shazam! Oh, yeah! Shazam! Ooh, Shazam! So Shazam is a great DCU amazing film that's based on the awesome comic book character, basically about this teenage boy that has the power to turn into this giant, like Superman-like character with electric powers and all kinds of cool stuff. And Jack Dylan Grazer actually plays kind of his like sidekick, best friend in the film. And he is absolutely hands down freaking hilarious in this film. He cracked me up from the get-go. From the first moment he was on screen, he made me laugh so hard because he was just so good. His expressions, his dialogue, his lines, just to his expressions and his body language were on point throughout this whole film. And he just worked really well with the kid that played Shazam himself. If you haven't seen Shazam, definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch. So the second film that Jack was in that I really enjoyed him in is another great horror film that has two parts to it, and it's just a really fun film. And then, of course, the film called It. Oh, yeah. It. Yeah. So this retelling of It, which they made a miniseries back in 1990 for television that had John Ritter in it, Harry Anderson, a huge ensemble cast. But this is basically a remake they did just in 2017, and it's just a really more of an accurate take on the actual book that Stephen King wrote. And Jack plays one of the, characters of the Losers Club, and he is awesome this film. Once again, he's super hilarious and super funny, great comic timing, and super hilarious. But at the same time, when he has to be scared or he has to act serious, he does a great job of acting that way and just doing a really good job. I really enjoyed him as the character, and I thought that he did a good job of portraying this character and giving us a really great performance. And a very different version than the original version done by the kids, in the 1990 version. If you haven't seen It, definitely give it a roll. Jack is amazing in the film. He does a really great job. But it comes to his voiceover as Alberto and Luca, once again, he just blew me away. He was so good as the character. I loved the direction he took the character in. I thought he was just so much fun and so hilarious. And he just really interacted really well with Jacob Tremblay. They worked really well together. And you could see that, Jack did a good job of kind of portraying a little bit of an older person sibling, kind of almost like a sibling relationship that he brought to it. And he just did a really good job of bringing that to life and giving us this really great performance. I just really enjoyed him and thought he was a great addition to that awesome voice cast. If you haven't seen Jack in anything, definitely check him out. He's amazing, he's awesome, and he was really fantastic in Luca. So that brings me to the third person I'd like to talk about that lent their voice to this film. And that is none other than comedian royalty Miss Maya Rudolph. Oh yeah, Maya Rudolph. Woo, Maya Rudolph. Yeah. Oh, Maya Rudolph. You might recognize, of course, Maya from SNL. You might recognize her from her short stint with Martin Short doing their live comedy variety hour. You might recognize her from having bit pieces and bit parts in other types of movies over the years. But a couple films I really enjoyed her in are as follows. Now, the first one is a great 2011 film that has a huge ensemble cast, directed by Paul Feig, and it's just a really fun film. And that, of course, is Bridesmaid. Oh yeah, Bridesmaids. Yeah, so Bridesmaids, she actually plays the bride character in the film that is best friends with Kristen Wiig, and she just was so amazing in the film. From the timing to the comedy lines to just her delivery, she just did a really good job. And it just was really funny, really hilarious, and pinged off of each person so well. And she just has such great natural comedian chops that you could tell that she was having so much fun playing this role, but at the same time, she just knew exactly what she needed to do to make you laugh. Super hilarious. If you haven't seen Bridesmaid, definitely give it a roll, people. It's worth the watch. Now, the second movie she was in that I really enjoyed is another great comedy film that has two films. She actually was in both films, and she just is a fun, great, mom character in the film. And then, of course, is the Grown Ups. Oh, yeah, Grown Ups. Yeah. So Grown Ups is a great film series that stars Adam Sandler, Kevin James, David Spade, Chris Rock, Rob Schneider, directed by Steve Dugan. And this film is just so freaking hilarious, and Maya plays a great role of Chris Rock's wife in the film, and she is absolutely hilarious. I think one of her best scenes is in the second film, where she's at the gym place about to do exercise, and the one, bodybuilder guy was like, is that child gonna be in here? And she's like, no, that's not a child, that's my lover. And just her presentation and just her act of doing the scene was so freaking hilarious. it was like on point perfection, and she just was like so freaking funny. All the expressions she made throughout each film, and in like dealing with Chris Rock remembers their anniversary, she doesn't, and all this kind of stuff was just really well done and a really great performance by Maya. She has such great comedian chops. I mean, just her role in the film Sisters 2 as well. She's super hilarious, and it's just a really well, like on point, like natural chemistry, comedian she does. Really fun, really well done, and she just really rocks it. Really great performance by her in the Grown Up series. When it comes to her performance as the mom in Luca, as the mom of Luca, I thought she did a decent job. I mean, she wasn't in the film very much, but when she was on the role, she had some really great funny lines. And I thought she did a good job of portraying Luca's mom and bringing a great realness to what a mom would feel like if, her son all of a sudden just ran off and was, doing things that they thought were dangerous and that, they couldn't get away from and stuff like that. I thought that she did a decent job. I enjoyed her voiceover. I thought she, added a great voiceover to the already great cast of this film, and just thought it was a decent voiceover role. So this brings me to the final actor I'll be talking about that lent their voice into this film. And that is none other than the master himself, a comedian, Mr. Jim Gaffigan! Oh yeah, Jim Gaffigan, woo! So Jim Gaffigan, of course, you might recognize from the Super Trooper films, the little cameo he provided where he got meowed at by a couple of the main characters. He is saying, meow, now what's meow funny now? And you also might recognize him from his Nickelodeon show, The Jim Gaffigan Show, or as a comedian. But a couple of things I really enjoyed him in are as followed. Now, one of the great films I've seen him in, and I thought he was just really fantastic in, is a great coming-of-age film that came out in 2009 starring Zac Efron. And that, of course, is a film called 17 Again. Oh, yeah, 17 Again. Ooh, 17 Again. I absolutely love this freaking movie. It is so freaking amazing and hilarious. Zac Efron, Thomas Lennon are absolutely pure joy and perfection in this film. You had Leslie Mann in it. You had, Jim Gaffigan himself, where he actually plays the coach of the basketball team that Zac Efron's character ends up, actually being a part of the team during both his original high school experience to his new high school experience. So Jim Gaffigan has been the coach all these years, and he's still the coach at the time. And he just is so awesome as the coach. He's super hilarious. He's kind of very bland and kind of like, I'm a coach type of deal. And he's just like super freaking funny. And it was fun to see him kind of like a very like straightforward type of role versus like, a very comedic role. But at the same time, what he provided was very comedic. And you laughed at it and thought it was super funny. And I always forget that he's in the film and he was just such a joy in the film. So that brings me to the second role he was in that I really enjoyed. And that, of course, is another great voiceover role that he provides, and a great animated series that's brought to you by Sony Animations. And that, of course, is a film called Hotel Transylvania 3. Oh yeah, Hotel Transylvania 3, Family Vacation. Woo, HT3, woo! Oh my god. He is amazing as Abraham Van Helsing. He brought such a great voice to the character. He gave us such a great performance. The look of the character looks very similar to Jim Gaffigan, I feel, and is on point. And just like he brought such a great, hilarious, comedic tone to the character. I mean, all the things he's dealing with, having to try to, he's trying to destroy Dracula, and all the things that he ends up going through are just super hilarious. Like, Jim did such a great job of bringing that character to life, giving us this really great kind of, like, voiceover impression that he gives it, which you can tell it's his voice, but at the same time, he definitely alters it and makes it even funnier and more classic to who a Van Helsing would be. And you just really enjoy the character, and you laugh at the character, and you just love how, throughout these ages, he keeps, like, replacing his body with different parts that he creates and stuff like that, and eventually he's basically just a head. And it's just absolutely hilarious, and just like Jim Gaffigan does a great performance of bringing this character to life, and just is really enjoyable. If you haven't seen the Hotel Transylvania 3s, definitely check it out, people. It's worth the watch, and Jim Gaffigan is amazing at his performance in it, and does a great job with Abraham Van Helsing. Now, it comes to his performance as Luca's dad in the film. I thought he did a decent job. once again, just like Maya Rudolph, he has some great one-liners throughout the film, the few scenes he's in, and he just brought a really great dad vibe to the character, and he just did a good job of portraying, you know, a father, and giving us, you know, kind of like his fatherly expertise, and just some great comedy lines. Especially there's this one scene where he's like, I got this, hon, I got this, I'm gonna find Luca, and he goes over to the kid and just pushes him in the water, basically. It's absolutely freaking hilarious, and he is on point with that, with his voiceover. It just, you could see it through the animation, and he just did such a great job. And I just really enjoyed the characterization that he brought to it, and I just thought that, you know, he really brought a true realness to the character of Luca's dad. If you haven't seen Luca yet, definitely check it out for Jim Gaffigan's performance. He was awesome in it. So what is Luca all about? Basically, the premise story is these two sea monsters, basically, that are adolescents, basically decide to check out the upside world, basically the land, and see what humans are all about. And basically end up kind of running away from home and having an adventure of the lifetime, and it's basically about them trying to figure out, you know, what's the difference between, you know, being sea life and being on land, and kind of like coming to terms with, you know, that the world isn't as bad as it seems. It's a fantastic story, great coming to age story, great, you know, culture, great Italian, you know, things coming, you know, lots of Italian heritage going out of the film, great music, great colors, great schemes. Everything about this film was so well crafted, and Enrico did an amazing job bringing that to life and giving us a, you know, a very authentic Italy setting. And I just thought that he really showed what his, you know, what he felt his life was like in Italy over in the 80s too as well, and gave us this just really well done Pixar animated film. Like I said, I think this is my favorite of the year so far. I definitely think it's better than Soul. I definitely think it's better than Onward. This movie just really kicks butt, and I think this is probably one of the Pixar's best to date, and is a great classic, and it's going to go down as a really true amazing film. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out on Disney Plus now. It's worth the watch. It's fun. It's awesome. And it's just a really well done film. So that's it for this review, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. And also, thank you for subscribing. And if this is your first time here, or you haven't been here before, definitely check out the links down below, where you can either get to my Patreon page, where you can see bloopers, outtakes, and all kinds of cool stuff like that, or check out the awesome Horror Pack link, where you can get great horror films right to your door for a great low price. So definitely check that out too, people. And as always, catch you in the next one!